Welcome to episode 28 in my High Vibe Habits series. I'm Nithya Karia, here to teach you how to consistently prioritize yourself with just 5 simple habits so you can get happy on purpose. Because we give more when we have more to give. Regret is this week's topic, and I believe it really has to do with our decision-making process. What makes you say no or yes at any point in time is your beliefs. The ones you have about yourself and the ones you have about what's possible. So the question is really, how do we begin to tap into that awareness that how I feel affects the decisions that I'm making? Now, this topic is top of mind for me because just Saturday, I was at my son's Science Olympiad competition. And while he's sitting for the test, there's not a lot to do. So after I mingled with the parents for a bit, I decided to go on a walk and explore the hosting college's campus. I wandered around, kind of following arrows this way and that way. There was a bunch of construction happening and could feel this energetic shift in me when I found myself in their fashion department. It was like a time warp, and I could feel this huge smile spreading across my face. Memories just flooded me, and I was seeing my old friends' faces on the faces of the students there behind the sewing machines and at the drafting tables. I could even feel that original excitement and jitteriness that I felt when I first started design school. Now, this could very easily have been a moment where I found myself longing and wondering, what if? A really regretful moment where I could have thought, what if I had become a fashion designer? What would my life have looked like? Thankfully for me in this moment, there was no regret because I did go to design school. I did become a fashion designer, and it was a wonderful time in my life that felt like a pinch me moment daily. But it almost didn't happen. I was actually headed to law school. I'd taken the LSATs, my applications were in, and then my mother flew in to New York that year for my birthday, took me out to dinner, and while we were waiting in line, she asked me a single question that changed my life. With her support, with her asking me that question, I could see possibility. And even though I was scared out of my mind and had a million reasons why I personally would never make it, I did it anyway. I hid that excitement underneath the ease of saying, well, what's one more application? And so I applied to just a single design school, Parsons School of Design, amid my stack of law school applications. And to my utter surprise and amazement, I got in. This moment in life, right, is an important one to pause in. Because I believe that the right questions better guide us to finding the right for us answers. It's why my framework is habits and not specific instructions. The right answer at any point in time is only the right answer for that point in time. Answers need to be flexible. They need to adapt because we are always evolving. We're always in different stages in life, have different considerations, motivations, desires, and needs. And the answers we give ourselves need to reflect what would best guide us in a constructive direction. Right? The truth is, we talk about productivity a lot, but if we're not achieving the thing that we want, if we're not achieving the feeling that we want or hitting the goals that we actually desire, it's not technically productive. Then we're just kind of being busy. So here's another important point when it comes to regret. The decisions that you make in the small moments, they actually matter as much as the decisions you make in the big ones. Because we don't really make those huge decisions that buying a house, having a child, getting married, changing jobs, moving cities, we don't make those types of decisions daily. Our life is made up of a million small moments. These might be moments where you really want to pause and make thoughtful decisions because how you show up changes depending on how you feel. And this affects one of the biggest factors of our personal happiness, and that's relationships. Now, I don't say this to be overwhelming, but you're making decisions all day long, and they all affect some aspect of how you feel about your life. Decision fatigue is real. It's why it can be so hard to figure out what to make for dinner at night after a long day, or why you just kind of give in at the end of the day to a request that you might have said no to before, or to an impulse. Being able to keep that full cup state is important because, again, how you feel matters. Your state changes how you make decisions. The high vibe habits let you connect, communicate, and make decisions from a more thoughtful, intentional place, because your best self lies within your happiest self. That is where we make the most aligned decisions, because we're connected to, we have clarity around what we really want to achieve in our life. There's also a lot of science behind a diminished type of brain functioning that happens when we are in these kind of chronic stress states. So we lose our capacity to be as effective with time management and creativity, right? A lot of this executive functioning is just something we don't have access to under chronic stress, because our mind is really working to keep us safe, to meet a more underlying subconscious need of safety or connection, something really basic. Now, if you follow my work, you know that I always say that emotions are just information. Just the simple equation, emotion equals information, really allows us to regain control of ourselves, to regulate ourselves. Because being able to identify your emotional state helps you regulate it. It helps you bring yourself back to being able to choose to have control over your own life experience. And that can be one of better decision making. Remember, you feel good about yourself and your life from progress, not just perfection. Again, this is always funny, but I love to say we feel better when we make new mistakes. We feel frustrated, I think, when we make the same mistakes on repeat. That's what creates those I am beliefs that keep us feeling stuck. So this week, I want to invite you to ask yourself a question that will guide you back to clarity, that first C of my high vibe habits, when you're making decisions, which, by the way, you remember you're making these all the time. And that basic first step question is, how am I feeling right now? It's the question you want to have the answer to at any given moment. Answering this question and doing something to feel better, that's a second C, control, will lead you to feel safe enough to distinguish when you might be making a choice out of fear or because it feels difficult, and when you're making a choice because you just need to, because you need something to be easy, and it's not necessarily the aligned choice, the choice you want. Now, when you're ready for a next level, I invite you to try this one. If you are dealing with a relationship, a person, asking, what do I want to feel right now? And what do I want to communicate? So who do I want to be? Do I want to be a patient person? Do I want to be an empathetic person? And what do I want the other person to experience when I'm speaking to them or making an ask? If it's around a decision, the question, what am I hoping to experience if I say yes? Or possibly if I say no? And then really sitting with that. And then what would make me feel good? A good question is so powerful. And I'll just leave you with one last thought, and that's that you don't have to make the right choice every time to avoid pangs of regret. But you do need to know you made a thoughtful choice. I believe that's really that first step to releasing regret from our lives. Okay, that's all for this episode. Sending all my love and gratitude. Stay high vibe, my friends.